Welcome back, you guys, to Canon Event. I'm your host, Trevor, and I'm excited to dig right into One Piece chapter 1180. The title is Omen. So, guys, could this be our first ill omen for the Straw Hats in a couple of chapters? Let's dig in and find out. Oh my god. Well, first of all, we've got a brilliant cover page. Okay. Reader request by Honey Laker. Great name. 10 out of 10 name. Vegapunk modifying Zeus to rain candy instead of water. Okay. I feel like this is possible, you know, so that they have like a cloud seeding machine. Okay, hold on. Vegapunk is not only capable of seeding the weather, but in fact seeding the weather to rain whatever the fuck he wants. Not even just liquids. This is fully wrapped packaged candy. Aliens. Okay, we're moving on. I like that Nami is eating the candy. You know, if I were her, I'd probably be a little more sus about it. Of course, Tony Chopper is absolutely apeshit about candy raining from the sky and has no questions, despite the fact that he is the crew's doctor and should be the most concerned with the chemical composition of the candy. Is there a One Piece RFK Jr.? More on this later. Oh my god. Okay, alright, first of all, shout out all my furries. We got an Awu. Can I get an Awu? Can I get an Awu? They're Awooing. Dororon, dororon, Awu, Awu, dororon, dadaran. This beat goes hard, first of all. The entire perimeter or radius, circumference of the pentagram has ignited with Amaterasu as black flames. Okay, not only that, we need to keep in mind that the black clouds around Imu are not just embodying this Hagoromo, and that this Hagoromo is complete. It's a complete circle, so that's very different than what we've seen from other characters. Could that mean that Luffy has an incomplete Gear 5th? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what it means. Okay, so the skulls were stitched together. I wonder what that means. But Imu seems to have a Sheikah device implanted in their hand from the Legend of Zelda series. Okay, beautiful flowing hair, the same as Joy Boy's. Hashirudin and Stanson can immediately sense this dude appearing because look, he just boofed. He boofed in, and there he is. He's right there in front of them. The new giant warrior pirates. He just boofed. He didn't poof, he boofed. And he's saying, "Who is the king of this land?" Look at those eyelashes, stunning eyelashes. "Hey, this land has no king. And who do you think you are?" "Hey, Grey One!" It's like, oh no. Oh no. "What are you doing, Summers?" Snink snack. And before really anyone has time to react to it, Imu has severed both thumbs and both forefingers of the doctor of the new giant warrior pirate's gird, freeing Summers and permanently wounding her unless Chopper has something to say about it. Huh? She says, completely in shock. Is that Summer saying, "Ah"? "Gird! Ugh. Oof. Yeah! Gird's fingers, you bastard!" How gruesome! Who is that guy? Shh! Get fucking ready. So Zoro squares up against God, against the devil god, Zoro has squared up. He only seems to be wielding 2 swords. His mouth is empty. Summers has got his mechanical heart. Are you in the God's Knights too? Says Zoro to God. He's an enemy either way. Hadroden, stay back, Hadroden. We don't know what he can do. And so Stanson tries to save Hadroden. And it didn't cost him an arm and a leg, but it cost him an entire leg. Oh my god, at least they're clean cuts. Maybe Chopper can perform surgery. And he's just the pain is ridiculous. Stanson! Ah, says Chopper. And I think there's a reason that they're showing us Chopper so prevalently here when people are dismembered, because Chopper is going to fix them. If the mountain god was re-stitched back together after being hot dog ways cut in half by Odin, okay, I do believe that Chopper is capable of repairing some amputated body parts. Stay away from him! I'm sorry, Stanson. Who is that? King of Hell, 3-sword serpent, Purgatory, Onigiri! But Emu is like, gets his tail ready, and ka-tink! Easily deflects Purgatory Onigiri. There is a Conqueror's Hockey clash here. Okay, this is new. So Emu has conjured Amaterasu in his hand. He's doing like a flick. Okay? This is Omen. Cha-ching! And Zoro literally point blank face to face with this shit. Has barely just enough time to block it. As Zoro! Okay, now it seems that he's like doing like a double flick maneuver. I don't like this. He's like whoop, boo. That's a weird. So he seems to conjure some sort of demon spirit that shoots out, Conqueror's Hockey included, and envelops Hadroden in a massive explosion of Amaterasu black flames. And Hadroden is just he's like Cell at the end of DBZ. He's just like Hadroden's not doing great. Who is this? It's Zoro. Zoro's like, damn it! What are these black flames? Whim. Ooh. So he makes a black Hagoromo and bestows it upon Summers, who says, ah, yes! Omen! Make haste, Summers. There is little time. Little time? Emu must have a time limit like Luffy. We've got to assume Emu was coughing up blood. Emu has a time limit just like Luffy. Yes, great one, says Summers, who's kneeling, by the way. Summers shoots off, not quite as powerfully as Emu, but shoots off into the sky, and we didn't see Summers able to fly like that before. Oh, okay, wow. Yeah, the awakening has stopped affecting the houses. That's very, very interesting. Like, almost immediately stopped affecting the houses. Oh, that's Chopper. Zoro, get inside! Everyone else, gather up the injured and the knocked out kids! Chopper's taking charge? That's a great sign. Warning to all of Elbaph! Some kind of being greater than the Knights of God has landed on the island. Be on guard. Okay, one important distinction is that the eyes are looking in different directions, I believe. That's very interesting. Yeah, polka dot tattoos. I mean, there's just so much to wonder about this guy. It's also surprising how many more people have horns than previously depicted. What's here now? You mean it's not over?
Keep your weapons on you. We've had enough of the fires and collapses.
Okay, Imu notices Gunko in the block of ice. Preparing the back end of his glaive, which seems to be sheathed in flames. He shoots out another demon. Ka-chunk. It kind of looks like there is like a barrel on there, like it flips open. It does look like it's hollow. Like it's a mechanical situation here. Shoots out a demon. And it obliterates the ice, or at least envelops the ice in a massive explosion of Amaterasu. Team Gaban, by the lift, Sun World.
What's going on? Even at God Valley, I never felt hockey like this.
Walrus School.
You charred it. Beggars can't be choosers. It's better than being frozen. Now stockpile your energy. I think we've got a real monster on the island now.
I think so too.
Hey, what's happening? I don't know, but this hockey is tremendous. If it's an ally of the Knights of God, then they might be after... Huh?
So it looks like Imu broke Killingham's bindings. Killingham is falling, saying, "Ha ha 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 ha! Great one! Thank you for the omen! Hey, who's that?"
He's dangerous, Sanji.
Who said you could release him? Hold on. Wow. Look at what an entrance. Look at the massive hockey. Who said you could release him? And Sanji shoots off. Ifrit-jambe. Imu blocks it with his foot. Imu blocks Sanji's kick with his foot. Or with his knee. And then, before Sanji can even fucking blink, before the clash is even done, Sanji's like, huh? And boom, roundhouse kick with the other one. It is sheathed in black flames and ignites a Amaterasu explosion on Sanji.
What are these black flames?
Ching. Ching.
Hey, what do you want with Elbaf?
I search for the killer of my faithful servant Harold, who was slain here 14 years past.
He was not your servant. Harold was my father, the king of Elbaf. And I'm the man you're looking for.
Imu says, I see. If not for thee, all this trouble would be avoided.
Here in the real world, you deal with me and Elbaf. Remember that, clown?
Clown. Do we think that Buggy is secretly of Imu's bloodline? It's wearing the same pants. Okay, I mean, there's just so much to go over. So, for one, I'm so happy that Loki seems to be taking the fight onto him while Luffy recovers, because we don't want to see, obviously, we don't want to see the Straw Hats take an L here. Sanji's down, but Sanji did clash with God. Zoro's down, but Zoro did clash with God. Can Chopper save Gerd and Stanson's dismembered bodies? Okay, and I would say hopefully yes. I think that would be a real L if Oda just says, oh yeah, Chopper can't fix this. That would really suck. I think Chopper needs some feats here. We got one with his strange interaction with the possessed people. Now, I would like to see another one in him being like, don't worry, Gerd. I would never let a fellow doctor be dismembered in such a way. I would never let your patients be dismembered in such a way. I got you, family. You guys are part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. You guys are my patients. That's what I want to see from Chopper. Now, Imu clashing with Loki. Does Loki get low diffed? Because that is really scaring me right now. I think that Loki has never battled someone more powerful than his father. Loki has never battled someone more powerful than his father. Loki battled Shanks, or so we think. I do not think Shanks was more powerful than Harold. I'm sorry. I don't think so. I think Shanks probably relied on his crew. and his brain to overpower and overcome Loki, because Loki raw power wise is definitely stronger than Shanks. I'm sorry. There's no way. There's no fathomable way that Shanks is more powerful than Loki. That being said, Oda's gonna do it to him. Oda's for sure gonna do it to him. I see a lot of people thinking that Luffy and Loki are gonna start getting beaten by Emu, and that Shanks and Dragon will pull up, and that will be where Luffy meets his dad and blah blah. I don't think so. I think that Luffy and Loki are gonna be getting beat here, but Emu's gonna time out, and they're gonna take someone. I think they're gonna take someone. They have to take someone, because we're gonna have another Enies lobby. We need the stakes to be raised very, very high for Luffy to reach even higher than being a god. Okay? We need the stakes to be raised very, very high, and I think perhaps Loki is the person that gets taken. I don't see anybody saying that. I think Loki getting taken and having the same I want to live sort of arc as Nico Robin, joining the crew in that way, would be so profoundly meaningful for this recurring arc of liberation and re-liberation and allegiance and re-allegiance and affirmation and reaffirmation of Nakama to happen with such a powerful foe would really raise the stakes. I could see that happening. I do think the Gods Knights were rather weak, portrayed as being rather weak before, but now we're going to see that these are Nebo babies, and that when they get a little bit of a handout from Daddy, that they come in swinging, and we're not ready. Okay? Furthermore, I would really like to see how Luffy's and Loki's fruits interact with Emu, the Devil's Fruit user. That Joy Boy and Elbaf both interacted with probably the devil, not Emu, but the devil that preceded Emu. That Nika and Elbaf interacted with the devil, who all three of them entered into fruits, and that the second age, Joy Boy and the devil, we don't know too much about Elbaf Needhog at the time, but Joy Boy and the devil had their clash, and that now all three of them will meet again, as in the Harley text, as in the mural. This is some prophetic shit. This is some really legendary shit. I do want to see Sanji and Zoro having to team up here. I do want to see an outside influence coming into Elbaf, whether it's Shanks or Dragon. I don't think it's going to be Dragon. I do think this is Shanks' territory. I do think there's room for Kid to come back here. Okay, there really is. I think there's room for Law to come back here. I think there's a lot of room for Law to come back here. Surprisingly high value target for Law to come back here. Okay, and then the final question is what does Blackbeard do? Given that Emu has mobilized, we know that the Revolutionary Army is going to move in on Mary Joie. But what does Blackbeard do while Nika Joy Boy and Needhog Loki clash with Emu the Devil? Because I don't think Blackbeard does nothing, and I don't think Blackbeard is unaware of this happening right now. I think Blackbeard is fully aware that this is happening right now, and he probably is watching in some way. Okay, whether he's had someone warp fruit on the island with a Denden Mushi, or whether he had Caribou somehow sneak back on to Luffy's ship or something. Okay, some way, which way, Blackbeard knows what's happening, as does Shanks right now. What is going on with Morgans? What did Morgans report of Elbaf? Of Luffy in Elbaf? Of the giant robot in Elbaf? Or was it silence? Because Vegapunk's message wasn't silence. Morgans had to make a report. Is Morgans rogue now? Is Morgans rogue now? Because that's he's harboring fugitives from the world government. So technically, this third party, I mean, he's a wild card. We don't know what he's going to do. And given what we've seen about how he embellished God Valley, that he has played for the government side before. He has been more on the government side than even Vegapunk was, more consistently, up until recently when he started to be a wild card. So there are things that, aside from the battle, could be developing in the next few chapters that, like, for example, I do see the next chapter having the potential to move completely away from Elbaf. Because the stakes are huge right now. And that suspense is huge right now. And Oda is the type of masterful writer who's going to use that to his advantage and have us sitting there fully suspensed, okay, and take us into a narrative that we wouldn't feel so strongly about if not for the strong feelings that have been invoked in the previous setting, okay? He's going to take us with these feelings into this other high stakes environment without having to tell us that it's a high stakes environment, because we're already feeling that high stakes from this environment. And then he'll use that, he'll leverage that in some way to establish something that we could have never expected. I think that's a huge potential for one of the next few chapters. I think it's almost necessary that we jump away from Elbaf in one of the next few chapters, so be ready for that. But I do think that next week we are going to see the continuation of this battle, of this I guess, dissension of this demonic god of Ema, you guys. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode and you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to Canon Events if you haven't already, because we're coming at you hot with more content every single week. And most importantly, party people, I hope you take care of yourselves until next week. Until then, Canon Events, we gonna be out.